Start for YouTube side. And now we are good. Okay, I'm back. I had to listen to a cover song my friend recommended to me a few minutes ago. No worries, no worries. Alright. I was just fixing stuff up before we get started. But we are good now. I just needed to fix things. It's fine. Okay. Okay, cool. I have everything set up and ready to go. As you guys have already figured, we will be doing strange story readings with a @pip on twitch.tv. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the roach on the table. Boom. Oh my god. Why does she look like that? Oh, Pip. Okay, there's the roach. Figure that pets. Do you do any or have any OG song covers? I do plan on having a song cover. I just haven't gotten around to it just as of yet, but I do plan on doing a song cover very, very soon. So that is something to look out for. I'm kind of excited about it too, so. Oh my god. Lol. Oh, I have like...
forest sounds.
We just talked about why you couldn't use that. Never mind, I'm an ape.
Yeah.
I'm an ape. Never mind.
No, you're not an ape. You're not an ape. You're not an ape. Oh, this is perfect.
Oh.
Wait, can I get like forest night ambiance where it's like scary shit? Crickets and owls, wind and trees. Oh, fucking sign me up, baby.
Oh my god.
Can you guys hear this? Oh, fuck.
Oh,
yes.
that's kind of valid. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh,
it's pretty good. Oh my god, ew.
Where did cicadas at? Dude, I fucking love cicadas. I love them.
Lizard. Oh my god.
Oh, hello. What is this? You're gonna tell? Oh, can I watch this clip
Lizard.
really quick? What is this clip?
Oh, I'm already nervous.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Is it bad? Oh, okay. Okay.
Honestly, yeah. Oh,
I can explain.
Okay, where did the meme come from? Wait a minute. Where did the fucking meme come
Which
from?
one?
Where it like switched over.
I was supposed to voice act that, and it was accidentally in my saves. And I would like to state for the record, oh, it is right next to that one. Okay, well, here you go. That's what it is. It's right next to the picture, so when I accidentally clicked, it just clicked over, and I was like, well, okay. Okay, I get it.
Hell yeah. But alright.
Yeah.
How are you today? How are you?
I'm doing my best. It's not a lot, but it's
Hey, we love that here. We love that. What's I gotta fix this? Hold on. My width needs to be 800. Yeah. Yeah, we fixed that. We fixed that.
Pip is right. You're not an ape. You're a lizard. What the fuck?
Oh, also, do you want to start sharing chat?
I beat you to it, Pookie. You gotta check your. Oh, I fucked it up. Hold on.
Oh.
There it is.
Oh, there she is. There she is. Share chat, share chat, share chat.
I did it. I did it. I did
baby.
it. Yo, why does the roach have the most part of the Pip? Move the fuck over. Why do you have most of the table?
Okay, my bad. My bad.
I look over and Pip's got all the table, man.
That's not how your head's staying up on that table or on that pencil. That pencil neck.
I don't know, man.
I don't know, man.
I don't know, man. I'm doing my best. It's not a fucking long.
Oh.
We got an owl in the background just hooing and hollering in the back.
I got a crow fucking screaming at us.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Okay. We're here. We're gonna be weeding scary Reddit stories. Are you ready?
No.
Are you let me ask this. Are you a Reddit enjoyer? How do you feel about Reddit?
Oh, I got the crow too just now. Jesus Christ, that scared the shit out of me. The crow just ah-ah'd behind me without consent and it scared me. Yeah, actually. I am a Reddit enjoyer. As far as like reading Reddit stories and like am I the asshole and shit. However,
Yes.
I will admit to why the fuck did it just abruptly stop? That was not okay. I will admit to being a mild pussy when it comes to like reading the don't read me at nights ones.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Because
man.
I'm not gonna lie,
Those-
I screamed when my cat jumped on my bed and I thought I had peed myself. It was really awkward. Big scared.
I don't use Reddit as much as I used to. I do like the like, oh, I'm looking at something, I want to get the reviews, and it's
Oh my
like, will
God.
this last forever? Or there's a Reddit thread that's like long lasting objects, and I go and see if that like something I'm gonna buy is on that list. Like buy it for forever I think it's called or something. I don't know. I use that.
Pip looks like
That's
she's
it.
deep throating the mic. Oh my god.
Give me the sound effect.
Just like gargled said microphone, bro.
Oh man, yeah, we're gonna be reading the Reddit scary stories. I have all of the scary stories ready to go, but my question is, would you like me to read? And you could be the reactor, the live reactor?
Honestly, I don't know who's more dyslexic in this call.
I have a speech impediment. I'm
Okay,
not dyslexic,
so we're
like
both
my words are gonna get a little weird, but like
We both struggle.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
yeah, we're both gonna struggle a little bit through it. But
Okay.
yeah.
Can't be that bad.
I did go. No. I think it'll be fine. I think we're gonna do. What the fuck is this? That's not.
Your
Oh my God,
spoopy
wait.
music got fucked.
No, I'm reading the meme you just sent me.
Yeah.
You call two bananas pills? A pair. Okay. Anyway. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Someone sent that to me and I was like, all right, well,
That's
ball.
crazy. So I let someone else do the homework for us. I went and looked up the top 10 scariest Reddit stories. So I think we can be the judge of if there'll be scary Reddit stories or not.
Okay. Do you want to do like back and forth ping ponging it? I read one, you read one.
Yeah, we could do that. You want to do that?
We can do that. Yeah.
Would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I can go first. Let me go grip the threads. So we're reading
Ooh.
scary ones today, right?
The scary Reddit stories.
Time to run.
Are they real stories or not? I mean,
Uh,
I'll let you guys also be the judge of that. How about that? Okay.
ooh, there's two of them that I kind of want to do. Fuck.
Yeah, you read the ones you want. Read the ones you want.
Let's start with I can't stop waving at the man on the moon. That sounds concerning.
Oh, okay.
What, do you want to read that one?
No. I forgot about that one. That's why I was like, wait a minute. Yeah.
Kind of spooky.
Vanessa's top 10, real or not, you decide.
Oh.
Yeah. News can go suck my ass.
Oh my god. Oh, I love owls. We love owls. I don't know why Pip's PNG just looks like it's like gargling the microphone, bro.
I need to see this. Hold on.
Inhale.
Wait. Yes. Give.
Inhale.
I'm ready.
Ooh, and it was archived too, man. Fuck. Oh, it's on r/no sleep, brother.
Yeah.
I'm
I
not
love
sleeping
r/no
tonight.
sleep. No, it's gonna be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Okay. I'm sorry in advance if I fuck up and go back and reread it. I'm a little bit of an ape, but it's okay. We got it. All right. Let's get cracking. All right.
Oh, can we get like ASMR Lunessa?
Yeah,
talk?
sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
hell
sure.
yeah. Guys, you getting this for free.
Fuck,
For free.
For free. I'm gonna go in dark mode too. We're gonna hardball it all the way.
Wait, how do you go dark mode?
You don't know how to do dark mode?
No, how do you do dark mode?
Oh my god. Pip's missing out.
Like the light thing?
Yeah.
Wait. Dude, this owl needs to shut the fuck up. Shut up.
ASMR
we
Reddit
go.
readings? Yeah, that's what I do. Wait, do you guys not know that?
Oh.
Oh.
Okay, wait.
I
There we go.
gotta walk you through letting certain parts of your model glow in the dark, by the way, too.
I kind of know how to do it, but then I also don't know how to do it. I'm gonna make you darker. Like, turn the lights off for you on my side, but I don't remember how to do that either. Color correctness? Yeah, brightness. Whoa. Whoa! Wait, that's crazy. Wait.
Wait, I can't see it. Hold on.
Right. Wait, hold on. Hold on. Contrast? Put the contrast down. Yeah, wait, that's actually sick. Whoa, I can make you disappear! Ah, where did she go? Ah! Okay, wait, she's back. It's fine.
Holy
all right,
shit.
sorry. All right, I had my fun. I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh my god, I did disappear.
All right.
Holy fuck. That's horrifying, actually.
Yeah.
It looks scary as hell. Holy shit.
That's sick as hell. Wait a minute.
Oh, wait, you're ruining the vibe. Stop barking.
There we go. All right, Pookie, the stage is yours.
Okay, Phoenix is kind of cacawing in the back. 1 second. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's gonna like take us out. You gotta get it. Phoenix. Our immersion's gonna be broken with the birds screaming in the background. ASMR Reddit readings? Yeah, Naruma. We're doing Reddit readings. We're doing no sleep. Top 10 no sleep stories, baby.
Okay, let's do it. Oh, wow. All right. Immersive. Wow. It's dark in my room. I'm scared. Okay, so it's called I Cannot Stop Waving at the Man on the Moon. Please excuse me if I mistype. Even as I write these words, I'm waving to the man who sits amongst the stars. A new moon will come soon, and I must get my waving in. Ugh. It would be I'm sorry!
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're doing great. You're doing great.
It's fine. It would be impolite of me not to. For those of you who don't know of me, I work in an astronomy analyzing in comprehensive galactic surveys by night and by day. I inform this lovely faceless chorus on the internet about the various celestial phenomena. Planetary transit, meteor showers, eclipse. It has been an absolute pleasure to share and discuss about these beautiful sights with all of you. However, tonight, I have something to show you that will make all of our previous talks seem quaint. Tonight, I want to show you the friendly man on the moon. I first discovered the man about a month ago. At the time, I was involved in some extensive survey work on the Andromeda galaxy, but by accident, or perhaps boredom, the telescope ended up pointing towards the moon. Being the only one on the premises and not feeling particularly productive, I took a break from work. The moon was beautiful that night. For a while, I was enjoying the visage of the celestial body, and let my mind drift to thoughts of how humankind thought of it 100,000 years prior. But then, a particular sight struck my attention. Even though the equipment was at its maximum capacity, the moon was growing closer. At first, the magnificent First, the magnification was negligible. I ascribed it to the eye strain or perhaps exhaustion from the long hours. The magnification, however, did not cease. On the contrary, it sped up. With worrying quickness, I found myself gazing upon the individual craters and rock formations. At first, I feared a psychological breakdown or poisoning of my coffee. But before panic could even really truly reach my heart, I was calmed. On the moon, I saw a human silhouette. He was sitting on a chair, dressed in all white, with a calming lower... What the fuck? 1 second while I screeches the abyss.
Hello? It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. You're doing great, sweetie.
With
You're
the
doing great, sweetie. You're
charming
doing great,
little
sweetie.
bowler cap on. With sight enhanced, I could see his bushy mustache and pleasant smile. He was looking at me. He was waving at me. Under normal circumstances, I would have been terrified. The situation defied all logic. But that smile calmed me so. At first, I was entranced by the man on the moon that I lost all awareness of my body. It was only after perhaps an hour and a half that I realized my hands were raised. I found myself waving back to the man on the moon. At the realization of the movement of my hand, another great wave of comfort washed through me. Something about waving to the man on the moon felt inherently blissful, as if my body was finally serving a purpose for which it had been designed. For a whole night I waved at the man on the moon, and eschewed all work. For the whole night my soul was drenched in bliss, and when the sun rose and the moon faded from sight, my heart flooded with profound sadness. On the drive back home, I nearly hit a cyclist for I was distraught. My soul ached to wave at the man on the moon once more. Sleep came with great difficulty that day. When my eyes did finally close, I dreamt dreams of an empty sky. When I awoke, I was even more distressed. My longing to wave at the man on the moon had passed somewhat, but somber by sleep, I found myself petrified by his very existence. Every explanation from the previous night's events was more worrying than the last. I once again considered a psychological break, or drugs, or perhaps the terrible fever dream as being responsible for my visions. The thought of the man dressed in white sitting on a wooden chair on the surface of the moon was the hardest thought to consider. Yet, when I came back to work the following night, I wasted no time to look for him. Quickly, I found him. Quickly, I could see his pleasant smile. My heart filled with joy once more. Whatever worries I had about my sanity or the possibility of survival on the moon faded away like mental fog. Seeing the man on the moon and knowing that I was seen filled my sort of zeal I had never felt before. That night, and many nights after, I waved at the man on the moon for as long as the sun would allow. When the moon faded from the sky, I was once again distraught. It was deeply unpleasant to have to part with the man on the moon, yet I found myself steadier than the morning prior. The promise of seeing him again, the promise of being seen by him again, it kept me sane. When I woke, much like the evening prior, I felt myself with concerns. Troubling thoughts about my sanity and existence of that sharply dressed man on the moon gave me pause. Yet, the closer I got to the observatory, the calmer I felt. By the time I was handling the telescope, all my worries seemingly were abstract. All the questions were silenced by the sublime sight. Night after night, the man was on the moon greeted me. Night after night, I greeted him back. As the moon waned, the friendly man traveled along its surface, always positioning himself to the center of the light, always positioning himself to be easily seen, to be easily found. There were nights when I was not alone in the observatory, yet I was always the most senior member of the staff. If anyone asked questions about why I was waving at the moon instead of tending to my usual survey duties, I simply told them to mind their own. My position at the observatory kept the outside world from seeping into my newfound friendship. Yet, when the moon went dark, my fortunes changed. I had felt somewhat nervous the night prior, when only a sliver of the crescent was visible. The thought of the man on the moon being lost in the shadows, swallowed up by the darkness, invisible to me, it made my skin crawl with discomfort. The moment my sight was pulled towards the small sliver of light, towards him, his little wooden chair, all those worries would always dissipate. I convinced myself that the man would still be there, even in the new moon. I convinced myself that I would never go a night without seeing him. I was wrong. When I arrived at the observatory the following day, I was not alone, and my outburst did not go unnoticed. When I found the moon extinguished and the telescope not working beyond the laws of physics, I felt a deep panic. I was not ashamed to say that I wept. I am only ashamed that I was unable to keep the man on the moon a secret from my coworkers. Upon urging my colleagues, I explained to them my predicament. Not a single sympathetic soul arose from the group. Instead of support, I was recommended to visit a hospital. When I rejected and insisted the telescope stayed pointed at the moon, my superior was contacted. Unceremoniously, I was sent home. I did not argue with my colleagues, not for the extended period of time at any rate. I quickly drove home and dug out my private telescope out of storage. Before I was a professional, I was a hobbyist. The telescope that had nurtured my passion for the skies, was infinitely weaker than the other one in the observatory, but I hoped that perhaps I could catch the airs of that unnaturally magnificent man on the moon. With the skies dark, they were clearer. It was a perfect night for stargazing, yet it was a most terrible night for me. I waved at the dark sky, but found no bliss. Frustration and anger with my eyes, and red with sorrow, I exiled myself to my bed and slept. For 3 days I existed with little food and water. To pass the moonless nights, I slept. I slept and dreamt of dark skies with all the stars extinguished. The vapors of my mind brought forth visions of cold, desolate cosmos, barren of a friendly stranger. I tried to wholeheartedly reject such a reality, yet each time I woke in a cold sweat and found myself less certain of the future. On one of those dark days, my superior contacted me and suggested we meet. I was in no state to speak about my work. I was in no state to meet anyone. There was only one person I longed to see. On the 4th night of my torment, my wish was granted. In that sliver of light, I found him once more. Though my hobbyist telescope possessed a fraction of the magnification the observatory was capable of, the man on the moon twisted the laws of physics as he always did. The thin slice of the moon swiftly consumed all of my viewfinder. Within minutes, I could see the man on the moon. He was waving at me again, this time with both hands. He was jumping for joy. Such was a friendly man's joy that he nearly lost his bowler hat, floating in the light gravity of his home. It was only once his feet were back on the moon rock that he tempered his emotions to his usual polite wave. I wept. I wept under bliss of the sight of the man on the moon. My viewfinder filled with happy tears, yet my view never grew obscured. Beyond tears, beyond the telescope itself, my eyes were capable of seeing which God ordained. I slept the whole first night with my eyes bulged into the viewfinder. Much of the second night was spent in a similar joy, yet when I found myself lightheaded with thirst and decided to take a quick break for water, I made a peculiar discovery. On my way back to the kitchen, as I spared a quick glance at the moon, it grew closer. That night, I was far too eager to return to the telescope, but as the days passed and the home of the friendly man grew fuller with light, my discoveries started to seem more certain. I no longer needed a telescope. My naked eyes, which enough focus could see the man just fine. Staring at the moon caused me great strain, and the slow shifting in my sight felt deeply unnatural. Yet, when I saw the man on the moon with my naked eyes, my soul rose to such heights of satisfaction that all pain seemed irrelevant. Ever since the full moon, I've been waving to the moon without any aid of a telescope. We've spent nights after night waving at each other, and I never felt more alive. To blink in his presence is to suffer in longing. To witness the sunrise is to die only to be reborn in the light of the moon. Discovering the man on the moon is the single greatest thing I have ever witnessed in the sky. And now, with the new moon approaching, I would like to share this discovery with you. Tonight, I want you to adjust your telescopes of the glowing moon. I want you to see him too. I want you to wave to him too. I want you to experience the sheer joy of being seen by him. I want you to wave to the friendly man and experience his love. And then, when the new moon rises, and we all are left in the dark, we can talk about how much we miss him in this faceless corner of the internet. We can all grieve together until we are delivered from the suffering in his return.
Hell yeah.
Not gonna lie, that sounds like a cult.
I was literally about to say the same thing. I was like, this is stinking of a cult, man. This smells cultish. This is giving blood. This is giving bloodborne. This is giving bloodborne. Hell yeah.
My goodness. Honestly, that was kind of cute, but it's very much, it sounds like a cult. Like a dangerous
It did sound
cult.
like a cult.
A very dangerous cult. Very spooky.
We praise the sun. Good. It was very creepy. It was giving EP creepy.
I'm not gonna lie, it was very endearing.
Yeah. Like, very, very cute. Very sweet, but also like, something's wrong here.
Praise the sun, heretics. The fuck?
Yeah. We praise the sun. Dark Souls.
Dang souls.
Dark Souls, baby. Dark Souls. I will pick one. Ooh, you know what?
I might read these on my phone. It might be easier for my dome.
Let's see. I think I want to read... Yeah, I think I'm going to read I've come to terms with the fact that everything I know is a dream.
Oh my god.
I've come to the terms with the fact that everything I know now is a dream. As a preface, please note that this is probably going to be very long. I don't care if nobody reads it. Everyone in the world could read it and nothing would ever change. I just need to voice my concerns for my own sake. Perhaps by organizing everything on a page, I can maybe make a little sense of things. Several years ago, I was in a brutal car accident. I was parked in front of a train track, waiting for the train to pass by. I was the last person not to make it across the tracks, though. For visualization, there was a solid stream of cars on either side. If I had tried to sneak across, I would have rear-ended the person in front of me before successfully clearing them. I could hear the train approaching and the black and yellow bars lower in front of me. I'm fascinated by trains, so I was delighted to be so close, finally getting a front row seat. The train was about a quarter mile from the crossing when the driver behind me accelerated and nudged me forward a few feet. The bars bent and eventually snapped, and I was knocked joltingly onto the tracks. I panicked and threw the car into the reverse, trying to back out. The other car apparently had more horsepower, however, and to my horror, my car door aligned perfectly with the cattle guard on the front of the train. I scrambled to get out of the car. But forget about my seatbelt. I nearly strangled myself trying to get free. By the time I unlatched, it was too late. One fraction of a second of the loudest sound I had ever heard, and then blackness and silence. I was certain that I had died. I didn't feel any pain, and certainly if I had survived, I'd be in agony. I tried to open my eyes, but nothing would happen. I tried to make a sound, to wiggle my fingers, or to do anything, but I couldn't. It wasn't that I was paralyzed, it was more like I didn't have a body to manipulate. I was just a mind submerged in a pool of nothing. The only sentiment I found was that I was returned to the state after being gone for a long time. Like, kind of how you forget how your parents' house smells until you visit home for the holidays. Gradually, I started to have feelings of sensation. Passing waves of warmth and wetness finally allowed me to determine where the edges of my bodies were. Almost as soon as I became aware of my physical self, it began to ache. I felt as if every inch of me had been pummeled with a baseball bat, the heavy wooden kind. Even opening my eyes was a spectacular ordeal. I was in a hospital, so I had survived after all. People moved to surround me, faces that never came into focus hovered above my own, and sounds that vaguely resembled speech seemed to reach me through water. It wasn't long before I felt weak again, and my eyes closed. Just fading in and out of consciousness lasted for what felt like a long time, maybe months, though the doctors told me it was only a matter of days. After that, I worked on speaking and swallowing food, which seemed silly, but it was actually a challenge at the time. Finally, as more and more casts were removed, I was finally allowed to sit up and turn my head, for which I was incredibly grateful. According to my family and my then girlfriend Sarah, all of whom were overjoyed at being able to speak with me, I was asleep for several days on and after the crash. I remember Sarah specifically saying she had missed being able to stare at those beautiful eyes. Time passed at an excruciatingly slow pace until physical therapy finally escalated to the point where I could be pushed around in a wheelchair. Doctors were surprisingly hopeful that I'd be able to walk again, but it was what they called cautious optimism. Nobody wanted to tell me I could be independent again, and then have to admit they were wrong later. Obviously, I was very hopeful myself, though even transferring from chair to bed was a painful challenge. It was around this time that I noticed I never dreamed anymore. When I slept, I only felt the same nothingness that I had felt immediately after the crash. All the days began to blend together for a while. The next memory I can actually separate from the rest is the first time I tried walking on my own. There were staff members holding on to my arms and waist just in case I fell, and with their help, I made it all the way across the room on the first try. The doctor said they had never seen such a rapid recovery. I was giddy. I was excited. Obviously, I wasn't out of the woods yet, but as soon as I allowed to live at home again with frequent PT sessions, and some weeks after that, I returned to work. Life was almost normal for a while, except for a very slight limp in my left leg, the side that the train hit me on. I was feeling pretty normal. It was only about a month of living in my own home that weird things started to happen. The first thing I noticed was that I felt an occasional stinging on my right forearm, like a thin needle was pricking my skin. It was a tiny prick, maybe twice a day at most. I figured it was just nerve trauma or something and blocked it from my own mind. Feigning ignorance was harder to do when I started hearing things, though. While I was reading in bed one night, I thought I heard Sarah crying. I strained my ears just to make sure, and I definitely heard her sobs, but very distantly, like I was submerged in a pool. I made my way downstairs quickly, concerned that she had hurt herself or something, but she was just washing dishes in the kitchen. "Are you okay?" I asked cautiously. "Yeah, why?" she asked nonchalantly. No reason." I dismissed the oddities as best as I could. After all, how could anyone expect to recover from being hit by a goddamn train about some lingering effects? Ever so often, mostly when I was trying to fall asleep or sitting in a still, silent room, I would hear occasional sounds that I couldn't quite connect at first. Gradually, I determined that they were hospital sounds. Stretchers being rolled against tiled floors, beeping from machines, rapid chatter between nurses and doctors. Although I figured anyone who had suffered as much trauma as I had would experience from some degree, or whatever I was experiencing, I decided to bring it up with my doctor. He told me it was perfectly normal for someone in my circumstances, and he could prescribe me a sleep aid if I felt it was necessary. I told him it wasn't a big deal. I was just satisfied that a doctor would explain my symptoms. The odd glimpses of what seemed to be my past only increased in frequency. When I slept, I finally dreamed again, but it was always the same thing. If I saw anything at all, it was a hospital room. Sometimes there were other people in the room, and sometimes I was alone with the machines. There was one night in particular in which the dream was more vivid and gripping than usual. My eyes opened wearily to see Sarah asleep on the chair beside my hospital bed. "Sarah?" I croaked. She jerked awake. "Henry!" She scrambled to my side, clutching my hand. At this point, it occurred to me that I was dreaming. I stared right into Sarah's eyes. "I'm asleep right now." She seemed concerned. "No, honey, you're finally awake. I'm right here. It's been so long." "Of course you would say that. You're part of my dream," I smiled, amused. "I'll probably wake up in any second." But as I spoke, the familiar soreness caught up to me all at once. It practically knocked the wind from my lungs. "Henry, no." Her distress was evident. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Stay with me, Henry. Stay awake. Look at me." I shook my head defiantly and closed my eyes. When I opened them, I was back in my own bed. It was about 3 a.m. in the morning. I sat awake, pondering what I had just seen. I thought I heard Sarah crying again, even though I could see her sleeping right beside me. When Sarah finally woke up, she rolled over and laid an arm across my chest. "Good morning, big guy," she smiled groggily. "If I was asleep right now, would you tell me?" I asked. "What?" she chuckled. "That's kind of heavy stuff to drop on a sleepy person. Just bear with me. If I was asleep right now, dreaming, would you tell me?" "Well, I feel pretty real," she noted, patting different parts of her body. "Do you think I'm not real?" "Of course not," I said. "We got ready for our day. I just couldn't stop thinking about my dream, though. I noticed that when I tried to hear hard to space out at work and listen closely enough, I could hear the hospital sounds more clearly. I was naturally concerned about this. That night, I went to bed early, and just as I thought, I was transported immediately to the hospital bed. I felt the thin sheets beneath my fingers, and I opened my eyes. Sarah was reading a book in the same chair as before. I just looked at her for a long time, trying to discern if she was real or not. She certainly seemed real. She turned pages with the same flourish that she always had and chewed on one of the temples of her reading glasses. Eventually, she looked up and met my eyes. "You're awake again." "Victoria, Paul, he's awake." My parents entered the room moments later looking excited. I talked with them for a long time. Of course, my parents, too, denied the fact that I was asleep, but the topic passed quickly. Instead, we discussed my condition. I had been in a coma for almost 3 months with little response. They had been slowly losing hope for my recovery until my brain showed signs of activity. Since that time, they had been visiting me frequently, hoping that I would wake up. It seemed a pretty convincing story. After many hours of talking, I had to stop. I was legitimately sleepy. Of course, they all understood and I fell back asleep. Only this time, I didn't wake up in my own bed. I woke up in the same hospital bed a few hours later. I had to think about it for a very long time, but eventually concluded that I must have imagined my miraculous recovery and had been in a coma the whole time after this. As you can imagine, it was hard to accept at first. Since then, I've been making a second recovery, which has been slower and less successful than the first. This is why, for a long time, I was mostly convinced that I was really awake this time. Nobody walks after getting blindsided by a train, at least not without lots of hard work. I've still only left my wheelchair on crutches, and it's been 6 years now. It probably sounds like a bittersweet ending, and at one point I agreed. I was prepared to live happily ever after in my wheelchair and maybe even graduate to crutches someday, except for one thing. When I'm getting ready for bed, after I turn off my lamp and my head hits the pillow, I can still hear them. The faint sounds of a busy hospital. I know that many of you say, "But I'm real, this is real life, of course you're awake," but that's what you're supposed to say. Nobody's going to tell me I'm fake, you're dreaming, wake up. I'm still asleep, and I've learned to deal with it. I know that nobody I meet during the day is real, but I'm tired, so I just pretend, and that will never have to do. It's all a simulation. It's all a simulation. All of it. All of it.
It's kind of sad, I'm not gonna lie. It's like really sad because it's like, what is it? What is a dream? What's not a dream? Oh, this dude has to be tweaking balls.
Tweaking mad balls.
Oh.
Mad balls.
Poor guy. Like, it's like, hit by train, boom. Neat.
Boom.
Hit by train with excess bullshit.
No, I'm good. That just makes you start questioning things. It makes you start questioning everything.
What's truth? What's reality? Yeah.
Exactly. No, I'm good. I'm good.
So no, it's okay. No, I don't need that. All right.
Right?
You ready for the next one?
Yeah.
All right. This one's called "I'm listening to a true crime podcast about myself." Ooh. Every night on my walk home from work, I listen to a true crime podcast. Even though my favorite podcast already released their episode for the week, the app says there was a new one. Excited, I hit play. It was a small town, the kind that has mom and pop shops lining the streets, the kind where everyone knows your name. But little did the residents know, they would soon be rocked by a horrible crime. I stopped at a traffic light. The red light glowed in the darkness, glinting off wet signs. A black SUV sloshed by. Across from me, eerie blue refrigerator lights glow from inside a corner deli. The chairs all lined up on the tables, feet in the air. The signal turned to walk. The chilly September evening was no different from the young student. She left her shift at a local store and walked back home, except she never made it home. Young student? Local store? Damn, that was hitting close to home. I was a part-time student at Franklin's Community College and worked at a local convenience store. And of course, I was walking home. I glanced behind me, looking at the alleyway behind Alessandro's Pizza, which was dark except for the neon lights spilling from the sign. Her boyfriend reported her missing the next day. The town conducted a volunteer-led search, and after 2 days, they found something. Dread formed in my stomach, anticipating a body? But what he said next was so much worse. Washed up on the shore of Worthington Lake, they found a pair of large red size 9 Converse sneakers. I stopped. I looked down at my red Converse sneakers, damp from the rain. What the hell? My heart began to pound. The shoes were sent to forensic analysts, who compared it to its wear pattern to another part of her shoe to try to determine if they belonged to the victim. A rumbling sound made me jump. I turned to see the dark SUV turning left at an intersection. Didn't I see that car a few minutes ago? Maybe it's following me? And the car passed me and disappearing into the darkness. Come on, Sarah, get a grip. Converse are popular sneakers. A little out of fashion, but still. 9 is a common woman's shoe size. And what college student doesn't have some sort of job? What, you think you're listening to some sort of prophecy about your own death? You're right. After a few weeks, the results came back. The analysis were certain. The shoes belonged to none other than Sarah Campbell. Blood drained from my face. Sarah Campbell? That's my name. What the fuck? How? I didn't have time to think. I forced myself to move. I broke into a run. The small shops turned into colorful blurs. Searching the lake came up empty. Without a body, the crime is hard to solve. But police won't give up. And finally, a witness came forward. Someone has seen a car parked at the lake late at night, around 2 p.m. A black SUV with darkened windows. No. What the hell is going on? I whipped around, the street empty. No people, no cars, no witnesses. A small voice in the back of my mind, the one that watched way too many true crime shows. My eyes scanned the shops, all closed. There were 6 black SUVs matching the witness's description in Falcon area. But one of them, in particular, caught the Detective Nolan's eyes. It belongs to John Kelly, a registered offender. Vroom. The sound was soft. I almost didn't hear it over the voices of the podcast. I whipped around and there it was. 2 blaring white headlights behind me, coming from a black SUV. I forced my legs to pump faster. The car didn't speed up. It crawled along, slowly, taking its time, like the driver knew that he could catch me no matter what. I glanced back, trying to make him out behind the dark windshield, but the headlights were too bright to see anything. Kelly was not a registered offender. He had been convicted of assaulting several people he worked with, who had multiple piercings and his short dark hair, just like Sarah. The car crawled down the road, stalking me like a lioness stalking her prey. I veered left onto the dark residential street. Headlights flashed across me, illuminating my running shadow on the pavement. I didn't look back. I just ran as fast as I could. The little brown house with yellow shutters came into my view. I sprinted across the grass, grabbing my keys from my pocket. Click. I threw open the door and slammed it shut behind me. I turned the deadbolt and collapsed against the door and began to cry. I hear a rush of the car passing our house, continuing down the road. But I wasn't safe. Gabe wasn't home yet. I wasn't alone. In the dark house, with someone driving down the street who knew exactly where I lived. Still sobbing, I checked all the locks. Then I called Gabe, who assured me that he was 5 minutes away. I made my way down the dark hall and headed into the bathroom. Then I set my phone on the counter and grabbed a cluster of tissues before I began blowing my nose. Click. I jumped, whipping around, but it wasn't coming from outside. My phone screen lit up. The podcast was still playing. I must have hit it when I put my phone down. It skipped several minutes forward according to the play indicator. "What do you think happened to Sarah?" the baritone voice asked. I reached for it and turned it off. To turn it off. Well, she told me she wanted to run away before. I stopped dead. It was Gabe's voice? Clear as day coming from the speaker. "She did? Why?" the voice asked. "She wasn't happy with her grades, her job, her parents. She told me sometimes she dreamed of just moving to some random state and leaving it all behind." I froze, staring at the mirror. I never said that. Never. Gabe was lying. I mean, that was hurtful to me as her boyfriend, you know. I thought we were going to get married someday, but apparently she didn't feel that way. My heart pounded in my ears. "So you think she just skipped town and is living her happy life out somewhere else rather than being abducted or murdered?" A pause. "Yes, that's exactly what I think." Well, that's all for now. Thank you to our listeners. The outro played. I stared at my reflection, everything coming down all at once, my mind trying to race to catch up. The front door creaked open. Footsteps sounded inside. "Sarah, I'm back." I backed away from the door. "Sarah?" My eyes flew to the window. I ran over to it, turned the lock, push. I popped up the screen, and I swung a leg over, pulling myself through the window, and ran as fast as I could. Maybe she did just run away.
Bruh. I would shit my pants. Like, I know there's like multiple people in the world that are like named the same as you, like first and last name. But I think if I ever saw anything like that pop up with my first and last name, I would shit my pants a little. Like, I would full on, like,
just a little shart, yeah.
Just a little poo. Just a little poo come out. A little poo.
Little anxiety.
Little anxiety poo. I found one that I kind of want to read. It's not in our list, but it seems kind of crazy. I bought talking buttons for my cat, but the cat wasn't the only one who used them.
What the fuck?
It's actually my youngest son's cat who learned to use buttons. I inherited the cat after my son lost control of his car on the icy roads last winter. It happened on the day he received a scholarship to his top college choice. He and his boyfriend were feeling on top of the world and were on their way back home from a trip. His boyfriend survived. He did not. You cannot imagine the grief. Either you have experienced the loss of a child or you haven't. I did not weep. Not at the funeral. Not for many weeks after. I became a stone. An object. It was as if all the sorrow were locked far away from reach. Instead of feeling anything, I simply thought many times of retrieving the pistol that I owned from its case in the back of my closet. And on a few occasions, I even went and took it and sat with it, feeling its weight in my hands. My son Vinny to his friends, was my world. One day, he would have been famous. I am so sure of it. You may think that it's his father's pride talking, and maybe it is, but he had a music scholarship. He would have performed for presidents and world leaders, and in my mind, when I see him, it's usually at his piano, playing for his cat. When he was 15, I promised him a kitten. If he did well in school, he could get it. And he picked out a tabby, the tiniest and angriest tabby in the world. And so we named her Terry. She only loved him. She would hiss and growl at anyone who else came near, including me. She also peed on his clothes and on mine and on my bed. To say I wanted to get rid of Terrible Terry, as I called her, is an understatement. But then my brilliant son died, and it was suddenly just me and Terrible Terry and that gun. I felt nothing but resentment toward that cat. but she spent hours and hours slouched on the windowsill in his bedroom, where she always sat while he played the piano. I used to think she sat there to watch the birds and couldn't care less about his playing. Now, she didn't even lift her head. She just loafed on the sill, as if waiting for someone to come. It's my son, to come bursting in and pull the dust cover off the piano and play. And then there were the buttons. You've seen them, I'm sure. Those gimmicky buttons you see online that people get to train their animals to talk. Bunch of nonsense, if you ask me. What has a dog got to say? Nothing but food, sleep, shit, pee. And people were supposed to give commands to dogs, not the other way around. But Vinny would watch all of these videos of dogs and sometimes cats pressing buttons, even though, to be honest, the cat videos he showed me looked like the cats walking onto the buttons completely by accident. And that's what I told him. Complete waste of money. People wishfully projecting their ideas onto their pets. The cat pressed love you and meant it? Okay. Cats only know hunger and selfish desires. Well, my stubborn, dreamy-eyed, cat-loving son bought a set of those buttons. He pre-recorded dozens of them, but began with just a handful. Food, cuddle, outside, music, dad, and Vinny. Yes, he put me and himself as buttons, and music too, because he was convinced in his silly little teenage way, the cat liked his music and might want to request it. Terry was terrified of those buttons. No matter how hard he tried to train her, she refused to use them. She hissed, she would swat, she wouldn't go near them. She knew exactly what they were for, and I'm sure of it. She even knew the words, because he'd say to her, "Let's have some music," and she would go to her perch by the piano and wait for him. But when it came to the buttons, she refused. Terry loved those buttons about as much as I loved Terry. But then, like I said, came the accident. Suddenly, my son was gone. The house felt wrong. Empty. Terrible Terry was now a husk. I'd put food out. She wouldn't eat it. I didn't know how to read her signals. She'd hiss at me if I come near. I decided I should get rid of her. I couldn't keep this cat. The cat hated me anyway. I will get rid of her, I thought, and then I will be done with me too. But I couldn't bring myself to get rid of my son's cat, and I couldn't shoot myself while the cat was still alive. And so we were stuck, me and the cat. And then one night, I was up in my room, and all of a sudden I heard it. The voice. Downstairs. One after another. Speak Vinny. 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 I assumed it must be a mistake. She must have walked over the button, but then it came again. Vinny. 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 I stood there listening to that cat press Vinny over and over, and tears came into my eyes. It was like a key turning in a lock, a crack in the dam that would then finally burst. Aghast, loud, gulping sobs. Finally, the tears had come for my son. And when the flood was over, I came down and found tiny Terry sitting by the buttons, looking miserable. I scooped her up and told her, I miss him too. And for once, she didn't swat me. She gave only the smallest growl. I put her down and got her some food, got myself some too. We both ate, and that was the beginning. Since then, I've added more buttons. You see, I'm not an animal person. I didn't understand Terry's body language, her wants, her needs, without the buttons. And she finally started using them. Training me, I guess they say cats do that. She has a wet food button, a kibble button. She has a no button to use if I show her the wrong food. I also added for my son's collection, the love you button. Yes, I confess, I did add it, and a Terry button. I began to make a habit of pressing, I love you, Vinny, and love you, Terry. I was genuinely in shock of how much she communicated. The first time she pressed, Dad, I love you, I almost broke down all over. I couldn't believe it. She looked like she wasn't even trying. She just walked over the buttons. But it was deliberate. It happened more than once. I still hadn't learned to read her cat body language at all, but with the buttons, I understood her, and I felt like I had a part of my son back. Sometimes she'd say things that just cracked open my soul. Like when she looked at me with those big round eyes one time and hit Vinny home. I wish he was home too, I told her. It was uncanny, the things we would discuss. We'd have entire conversations. I know it sounds nuts. I've had thoughts myself nuts just a couple months ago. But I added the buttons so fast and she took to all of them. I asked her once if she understood what happened to Vinny. She replied with Vinny, bye. I decided to add bye to tell her whenever I was leaving the house. She then asked me, Vinny, home. I had told her no. Vinny, bye. And she stubbornly insisted again, Vinny, home. And she trotted away angrily, at least I think, that I couldn't make Vinny come back. But the reason I'm sharing this story, and sharing this story here, is because of what happened last week. Last week, my son Liam came to see me. Liam is Ben's older half-brother. He's nearly a decade older than Ben from a previous relationship, and unfortunately, Liam inherited all of his mother's worst traits. It's always the same with him. He begs for money, gets abusive if I do not give it, and disappears once I have made him a loan he will never repay. I've cut off all funds to him a few years ago and told him I would never enable his habits. While I'd never cut him off entirely out of my life, I hadn't allowed him to visit when Vinny was alive because he was the way he would treat Vinny on previous visits. When he'd sneeringly accuse me of favoriting that menacing little, I wouldn't repeat his hateful words for his younger brother. When he showed up on my doorstep, he had the smell of whiskey on his breath, and he looked at me wide-eyed and anxious. Dad, he said, and then hugged me tight. I'm sorry about Ben. It shocked me so much. I hugged him right back, and he came in and sat down, and we asked how I was doing. He was surprisingly delicious. I didn't understand why. His usual meanness didn't come through at all. Until he noticed a growling Terry. You still have that little piss queen? He asked. And I reached a hand for her, only for her to swat and run away. Little shit, he said. Her name is Terry, I said defensively. He laughed. Didn't you used to call her Terrible Terry? She doesn't pee on things anymore. From the button area came presses of bye, bye, bye. She wants you to go bye, I said. She can fuck off. She's not your son. I am. Bye, bye, bye. I didn't like the way he talked to the cat, though a few minutes later, after she peed on his shoes, I found his anger more understandable, and I locked her up to prevent him from harming her. But he seemed genuinely sad about Vinny, and even asked about Vinny's boyfriend and his recovery after the crash. I wondered if he had come over to try and patch things up between us, maybe to start off on better footing, like me and Terry had, until he asked me what was going to happen to Vinny's college fund. I haven't decided yet, I told him. I'm still processing all of this. But, like, he's not going to use it, right? I mean, even before the accident, the money you'd been saving for him, he had a scholarship, right? He wasn't going to need it anyway, and he definitely won't need it now, Dad. I could use a loan. Liam, you still have one son left, Dad, he burst, and there was the old rage. Why do you always treat me like this? Even when he's dead, he still deserves more than I do. I bet you cut me out of your will, too, huh? I did not. You didn't? No, you both get equal shares. Oh, okay. He calmed down. Sorry, I have a lot of resentment, I guess. I'm sorry, but about the loan, is there any way? I'll have to think on that. Okay. You think I'll make us drinks, okay? I should have known what was happening when he went into the kitchen and was fumbling around longer than necessary. I should have known. But how could I? I had already lost one son. How could I suspect the other? How could I imagine the worst? I want to believe things would be better. I drank the alcohol he put in front of me without thinking. I assumed the wooziness was just the booze. It had been a long time since I had a real drink. Somewhere in the bedroom where she was locked up, Harry was howling her little heart out. I had never heard her make those sounds, and I said I was going to let her out, but when I got up, the whole world lurched. Liam's arm caught me and he said, "Got you, Dad," and then kept whispering in my ear, his little breath still reeking. Sorry, but you're making me do this. If you just give me that fucking loan." I didn't start to panic, really panic, until he propped me up on the sofa and went upstairs with the question, "You still keep that gun in your closet?" The fear hit me in a wave then. I felt like I was floating, like I was drifting away from my body. like I was lost in some strange and horrible dream. I tried to stand and stumbled to the table to grab my phone, but I fell and heard the crack of my head against the table's edge. The ground came up to meet me. Pain shot through my skull. Footsteps thudded overhead, cursing as he rifled through the closet. I tried to pull myself up again, finally managed to grab my phone. The screen swam in my vision. My fingers were fat and clumsy as I tried to push the keys to call for help. Hands smacked the phone out of my grip. "It's 'cause you won't help me," Leon rambled as he again wrapped his arms around me to try to get me up onto the sofa. "Everyone knows you're depressed, suicidal, can't handle Vinny's death. You should just have done it, man. If you'd just have done it, I wouldn't have to." Ugh, I gasped. "This is the only way. This is how it's going to be. You don't even want to live anyway. You're in your own way. You're helping me out of here in the end," he said. And then in response to the howling from the other door, he suddenly shrieked, "Shut up." The howling stopped. Liam glared towards the door, his breath coming hard and fast. Then he looked back at me. Everything had become so blurry. His words were a garble, his features a haze. I felt the cold muzzle of the gun against my temple as my heart galloped in my chest. From Vinny's room came a sharp rustle, like a curtain or a sheet. And then the piano. The notes of a piano. "The hell?" Liam's voice slurred through my drugged haze. "Is someone here?" The playing continued, unsteady, but beautiful. Unmistakably 𝓗𝓪, just like Vinny had always played, but slower, halting. And I wonder, it couldn't be the cat, could it? It almost sounded like the cat walking deliberately across the keys, the same way she walked across the buttons. But that would have been impossible. "Who's there?" snarled Liam. The was all I could manage. He snatched up the gun and stalked toward the bedroom door. In my blurry vision, he wavered back and forth, and when he opened the door, there, at the piano, was a figure. Flickering and impossible. A figure that both was and was not there. Liam screamed and raised his arm, and the world exploded as the gun went off. And then there was the cat. The cat yowled as it came charging out, all bristling like a tiger, and with her and that same figure from the piano. Liam was screaming in terror and fired the gun again and ran out the door. What I remember next is waking in the ER. Neighbors apparently called the police after hearing the gunshots. When I was discharged and returned home, my head wrapped from the concussion, I was relieved to find Terry whole and unharmed. The cat's not strapped. She hurried over to greet me, tail up. I'd finally start picking up her body language to know greeting when I saw it. If it wasn't just the tabby greeting me, I knew. You see, I finally realized something. A cat can't play a piano, and this cat couldn't use buttons. Not of her own volition. Maybe it hadn't been Terry talking to me all along. Maybe it was, and it always been Vinny. And so, as I extended my hand and Terry rubbed my knuckles, I told her, "I love you. I will never hurt myself. I promise. I will survive. You can be free. I love you." Terry rubbed my hands again and rubbed my face when I bent my head to hers. Then she patted over to the buttons and walked across them, and I listened to my son's recorded voice. "Love you. Love you. Bye. Bye." Terry hasn't touched those buttons since. But every once in a while I'm very deep in my dreams, I think I still hear the sound of that piano. Very cute. That was very cute. Was not creepy at all, but very cute.
It's so sad.
I know. It was so sad.
Oh, it's so sad.
Good story. Cats are cool.
Man, fuck Bubba. I hate that cat. Oh, that's so sad. What the fuck?
I was not expecting to be like... I wasn't expecting it to be sweet. I was expecting like something scary and sinister.
Holy shit. Well, I'm about to ruin that for you.
Oh shit. Okay, I'm ready.
This one's called something walks whistling past my house every day at 3:03 a.m.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, it's time to ball it out. Oh my god, excuse me. Every night, no matter the weather, something walks down our street whistling softly. You can only hear it if you're in the living room or the kitchen when they walk by, and it always starts exactly at 3:03. The sound starts faint, somewhere near the beginning of the lane near the Carson Place. We're towards the middle of the street, so the whistling moves past us before fading into the direction of the cul-de-sac. When I was younger, my sister and I would sneak into the kitchen, some nights to listen. My mom and dad didn't like that, and we'd catch hell if they found us there. But they never were too hard on us since we always stuck to the one big rule. Don't try to look at whatever's whistling. My neighborhood is a funny place. I lived there since I was 6 and I loved it. The houses were small but well kept, good-sized yards, plenty of places to roam. There's a lot of other kids my age. I turned 13 in October. We grew up together and always played foursquare in the cul-de-sac or roamed around the back porches in the summer. This was a good place to grow up. I was old enough to see it. And there's only the two strange things here. The night whistling and the good luck. The whistling never bothered me much. Like I said, I couldn't hear it from my bedroom, but my mom and dad didn't like talking about it, so I stopped asking questions. My dad is a strong guy, tall and calm. He has an accent since he moved to the US as a kid. His family, my grandparents, they're from the islands. That's what they called it. My dad, the only time what the fuck, why are we writing like that? My dad, the only time he isn't calm is if the whistler comes up. He talks a little quicker then, eyes move faster, and he tells us not to think about it too much, and to always remember the one big rule. Don't try to look outside when the whistler passes. Not that we could ever look if we wanted to. See, there are shutters on the outside of our windows, thick pieces of heavy canvas that pull down from the top and latch to the bottom of the window frame. Each latch even has a small lock, about the size of what you would find on a diary. My dad locks those shutters every night before we all go to bed and keeps the key in his room. My mom doesn't know what she thinks about the whistling. I've seen her out in the living room before 3:03 when the sound starts. I could see her if I cracked my door open, even just an inch to peek. She's not out there often. At least, I haven't caught her much. But once or twice a month, I think she sits out there on her big red couch just listening. The whistler has the same tune every night. It's cheerful. Da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. Remember how I said there's two odd things about where I live? Well, besides our night whistler, everyone in the neighborhood is really lucky. It's hard to explain, and my dad doesn't like us talking about that part either. But good things just seem to happen to people around here a lot. Usually it's small things, winning a radio contest, or getting an unexpected promotion at work, or finding some arrowheads buried in the yard. You know, the authentic kind. The weather is pretty good, and there's not much crime, and everybody's garden blooms extra bright in the fall. A million little blessings, I heard my mom say about living here. But the main reason we stay here, or we don't move in the first place, is my sister, Nola. She was born very sick. Something with her lungs. We couldn't even bring her home when she was born, only visit her in the hospital. She was so small. I remember. Small even compared to the other babies. A machine had to breathe for her. We moved into our house here to be closer to the hospital. And as soon as we moved here, Nola started getting better. The doctors couldn't figure it out. They chalked it up to being whatever they were doing, but all that they could tell is that they were confused. But my parents knew, even I knew, Nola getting better was just another of those million little blessings that we got for living in our neighborhood. So, that's why we stayed here even after we found out that for every small miracle that happens here every day, and now and then, something bad happens. But they only happen if you look at the whistler. See, our neighborhood has a welcoming committee. They show up with macaroni casseroles and gift baskets, and a manila folder whenever someone new moves in. They're very friendly. The committee made small talk, gave them a Snickers bar, and took turns holding Nola. It was her first week out of the hospital, so they were extra careful. Then, the committee asked to speak to my parents in private. So, I was sent to my room where I still managed to hear every single word. The welcoming committee told my parents about how nice the neighborhood was. Really exceptional. Hard to explain, kind of nice. And then, they told my parents about what was even harder to explain. Whistling that happened every morning at 3:03 and ended at the tick of 3:05. The group, our new neighbors, warned our parents that the whistling was quiet, would never harm or hurt us, as long as we didn't look at what was making that sound. This part they stressed, and I pushed my ears to the door, straining to hear them. People were looking for the whistler, had their luck changed, sometimes tragically. A black cloud would hang over anyone that looked. Anything that could go wrong would. The manila envelope the committee brought over contained a newspaper clipping, stories about car crashes that ruin lives, public deaths, and freak accidents. Not everyone dies, I heard the head of the committee tell my dad. But the life goes on, but the life goes at 'em. Even if they live, there's no light in them ever again. No presence. My mom and I could tell she wasn't taking it serious. She kept asking if there was some sort of prank that they played on new neighbors. At one point, my mom got angry, accusing the committee of trying to scare us out of their new home, asking them if they were racist or on the account of my dad being from the islands. My dad calmed her down and told her that he could tell our new neighbors were sincere, and they were there just trying to help. We explained that they grew up hearing these kinds of stories from his mom, and that he knew that there were strange things that walked among us. Some of those things were good, and some of those things were bad, but most were just different. After the committee left, my dad went out to the hardware store, bought the canvas blinds and the latches, and locks and installed them on every window in the house after dinner. The first night at our new house, I crept around out of my room at 3 a.m., only to find my dad awake, sitting on one of the living room couches, holding my baby sister. My dad held up his finger in a shush motion, then patted the couch next to him. I sat and waited. At exactly 3:03, we heard the whistling. It came, and then it went, just like the neighbor said. The whistling returned every night, and we never looked, and we enjoyed our million little blessings every day. Nola breathes on her own, and she grew up into a strong, clever girl. My dad even joined the welcoming committee. We didn't get new neighbors often. Why would anyone want to leave? But when a new family moves in, my dad and the committee bring them the macaroni casserole, a gift basket, and a manila folder. I could always tell by the look on my dad's face when he comes back if the family took the committee seriously or if we were going to get new neighbors soon. Not long ago, a family moved in across the street from us. The previous owner, Miss Maddie, passed away at 105. She lived a very good life. Our new neighbors seemed like they'd fit in here just fine. They believed the welcoming committee, took my dad's advice about locking the shutters since the young children have a mind of their own. Whenever newspaper clippings were in the middle of the folder, whatever evidence my dad never let us see. But I imagine it must be awfully convincing since our neighbors get along with no issues the first month. One night, when our new neighbor had to leave town, they sent their son, Poland, to stay with us. He was 12. A year under me at school. I didn't know him well before the night, but as soon as his parents dropped him off after dinner, I could tell it was going to be a very bad time. Do you know who was always outside whistling every night? Holland asked, the moment the adults left the room. The three of us were sitting in the den, some Disney movie playing idly on the television. My sister and I exchanged looks. We don't talk about that. I think it's a weirdo that lives in the big yellow house at the corner, Holland says. Mr. Tolls? My sister asked. No way, he's really nice. Poland shrugged. Must be a psycho killer then. Nola tensed. We don't talk about it, I respond. Let's go to my room and play Nintendo. We spent the few hours playing games, eating popcorn, and watching movies. A typical sleepover. But I can see 𝓗𝓮 getting antsy. After my parents had wished us good night, locked the blinds, and gone to bed, 𝓗𝓮 stood up from his beanbag and walked to where Nola and I were sitting in bed. Have you ever tried looking? He asked. It's nearly time. Like most sleepovers, we conveniently ignored any suggestions of bedtime. I was shocked to see he was right. It was almost 3 a.m. I sighed. We don't. Sure, I can't. I can't even try to look because my dad locks the blinds every night and hides the key, he continued, ignoring me. So does our dad. No, he doesn't. We saw him do it, I said, a little sharper than it meant to sound. 𝓗𝓮 grinned. Your dad locks the blinds? Yeah, but he doesn't hide the key. He keeps it right on his normal keychain. So, I asked, worried I already knew what he was going to say next. Because I had noticed my dad didn't bother hiding the key anymore after all these years, because he knew we took it seriously. So, after your dad locked up, but before your parents went to sleep, I went to the bathroom, and on my way, I have peeked into their room, and I may have seen your dad's keychain on his nightstand, and maybe I went up to borrow it. Nola and I stared as he grinned widely. You're lying, I said. 𝓗𝓮 shrugged. You can check if you want. Just open your parents' door and look. You'll see the keychain right there on the nightstand. Stay here, I told them both, but don't move a muscle. I hurried to my parents' room, but hesitated at the door. If 𝓗𝓮 wasn't lying, my dad would be angry. Beyond angry. I was scared of thinking about it. More scared of opening the window when the whistler was right outside. I opened the door barely an inch and looked inside, but it was too dark. Taking a breath, I walked into the room. 2 steps into the dark and I froze. The whistler started, and I could hear it clearer from my parents' room. I never realized they must have heard that sound every night we moved into this house. He never told us. I didn't think I could have slept through it. I stood there, listening to the whistler get closer, unsure of whether I should turn on the lights or call my dad. Soft sounds of the living room began to bring me back to reality. Nola! I yelled, running out of my parents' room. 𝓗𝓮 and Nola were standing at the front door next to the window. 𝓗𝓮 wasn't lying. I could see him fumbling with the lock on the blindfolds. I heard a click. He did have the key. 𝓗𝓮 let out a quick laugh, and Nola stood next to him, hunched up. Afraid, but maybe curious. The whistler was right outside our house. I think I made a sound, called out. I can't remember. Time felt like it froze. Clock hands nailed to the face. But I found myself moving. Not fast. I'm not very athletic. Somehow, though, I covered the space between me and Nola. My eyes locked on her. But I heard 𝓗𝓮 pull the blinds all the way down so it could release. I heard the snap and raise. I heard the whistler just outside the window. But I had my arms around Nola, and I turned us so she was facing the window. Facing away from the window. At the same time, I jammed my eyes shut. The blinds whipped open. The whistling stopped. I felt Nola shaking in my arms. Don't look up, okay? I told her. Don't turn around. We were positioned so she was facing away back towards the hallway, and I was facing the window. My eyes were closed. I felt her nod on my shoulders. I reached out with an arm not holding Nola and tried to touch 𝓗𝓮. My hand brushed against his arm. He was shaking. Worse than Nola. 𝓗𝓮? I asked. Silence. I reached out past him gingerly, and gingerly felt for the windows. Eyes still sealed shut. The glass was cold against my fingertips. Colder than it should have been this time of the year. I moved my hand to the window, searching for the string to pull the blinds. The glass began to get warmer, and the further I reached, there was a gentle hum feeding back into my fingertips. I tried not to think of what it might be on the other side of the window. Finally, I touched the strings and yanked the blinds shut. I opened my eyes. In the dim light leaking from the kitchen, I could make out 𝓗𝓮. pale, small, shaking at the now closed window. "Poland?" I asked again. He turned away from me and screamed. Everything became a flurry of motion. Lights sparkled to life in the hallway, in the living room. My parents' footsteps thud across the hardwood floor. I didn't turn to look back at them, my eyes glued on Holland. He was pale. He bit his lips so hard there was a thin red line of blood running down his chin. He wet himself. "What happened?" my dad asked from behind me. I managed to swivel away from Holland and look back. He looked! I'd never seen my dad scared before, but I saw it that night. In that moment, an old, ugly terror stitched on his face, the parent's fear. "Just Holland?" he mouthed to me. I nodded yes. My dad let out a breath. He looked so relieved, I nearly expected him to cheer. But he turned to Holland and my dad's face changed. I wonder if he felt bad for feeling good that Holland was the only one who looked. There was a knock on the door. We all froze. Holden whimpered. "Don't answer it," my mom said. She stood at the threshold of the hall. I always thought she was a skeptic and just humored my dad about the windows and the whistler, but that night we were all believers. I noticed both of my parents held baseball bats. They must have taken from their bedroom. The knock again. It was a little louder. "Please don't open the door," Holden whispered. My dad walked over to him. "We won't," my dad promised, still holding his bat. "Nothing is coming in here." Thud, thud, thud. This time, the knocking was louder. To rattle the door, Holden screamed again and Nola clutched her arms around my neck. My mom came around and knelt next to us, wrapping my sister and me close. Thud, thud, thud. "Call the police," my mom whispered to my dad. The knocking instantly stopped. My dad looked over his shoulder. "Do you think?" He was cut off by a frantic knocking that trailed off to a polite tap-tap. "Police," something said from the other side of the door. The voice outside sounded exactly like my mom, like a parrot repeating words back to her. "Police. Call the police." Tap, 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 tap. "Police!" My mom pulled us closer. "Police! Police! Police! Please stop," I whispered to her. "I don't think calling them will help," my dad said. "How will we know when they're the ones at the door?" The knocking came back harder than before. The door shook and then stopped. After a moment, I heard the knocking again, but it was coming from our back door. We all turned together towards the back door, but the knocking immediately returned to the front. Front to back, back to front, loud then quiet and then loud again. Suddenly, the sound was coming from both doors at once, big heavy blows like a sledgehammer. Then something started ramping against all of our windows in the house, and the walls. It was like we were living inside of a drum with dozens of people trying to play all at once, where we were like a turtle and something was attempting to claw us out of our shell. "Stop!" Holden yelled. The knocking died. "I won't tell," Holden said, staring at the door. "I promise I won't tell anybody I saw. Just please go away." We waited nearly a minute. We heard it. Soft. Tap, 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 coming from the window that Holden looked at earlier. Holden started to cry, sobbing like a prisoner watching the gallows being built outside our cell. My dad held him, brushing his hair, but wouldn't never lie to him. Never told him things would be okay. The tapping on our window went on for the rest of the night. We huddled together in the living room for I don't know how long. Eventually, my mom tried to take us kids into my room while my dad stayed to watch the door. But the second we moved to our bedroom, the knocking came back again, as loud as possible, almost nearly impossible to ignore. I was afraid the door couldn't take it. We went back to the living room and the knocking stopped. Only a tap at the window remained. None of us slept that night. The tapping stopped around 7 a.m. It's about the time the sun comes up here. We waited for 2 hours before my dad opened the blinds to the window. He made us all go back to my parents' bedroom first. I heard him open the door, and then he came back. "Okay," he said. "It's done." Holden's parents came back to us around lunchtime. My mom and dad walked Holden over to his house. They all went inside for quite a while. Nola and I watched from the window. She stuck to me the whole day, right at my side, sometimes holding my hand. When my parents came back, they looked grim and didn't want to tell us what they said to Holden's family. It was Sunday, so we all spent the day together, ordered pizza and watched movies. That night, everyone slept in my room. Nola and my mom in the bed with me, Dad in a chair pulled over. There was no knocking that night, or any night since. We didn't see much of Holden or his parents for the rest of the week, but by Thursday, there was a moving truck in their driveway. Nola and I watched them pack up the whole afternoon after school. What sticks with me the most is how tired Holden and his parents looked. All three had the same pale, grim mouths and lightless eyes, even from across the street. I could tell something was very wrong. Holden and his family were gone before sunset. I remember the original welcoming committee said to my parents when they first came, not everyone who looks at the Whisperer dies, but even those that live have the light go out of them, and the rest of their lives are full of misfortune. A million little tragedies. I think Holden's parents must have looked, either to comfort him if they didn't believe, or share the burden if they did. I watched Nola some days, happy, young, and alive, and I wondered if, had I been slower, she'd look out the window that night. Would I look too, to comfort her, to share her burden? I'm glad I don't have to find out. We live in that house, in that neighborhood. We still hear our Whistler walk past every day. The blessings, the luck, the good things here are too good to leave. But we are careful. We don't have friends over to spend the night anymore. And my dad hides the key to the blinds very, very well. Not that I'm good at looking. Sometimes you don't have to look anywhere.
That gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Man, fuck that kid.
That gave me, yeah, fuck Holden. Holden, you're an idiot. I am 110, little tragedies, little nightmares. Buddy, listen. You were told, you didn't listen. You're making the bed, alright?
Hi,
you made the bed.
Hi, Issa, and thank you so much, Toasty, for the follow. Here's something I learned. I used to go to the Poconos for, like, the summer and whatnot. And the first thing I learned when we rented a cabin is you push the bookshelf up against the door, you close the blinds, and if you hear whispering in the night or whistling in the night, no, you didn't. You don't go out after like 1 or 2 o'clock. You stay in bed and you stay under those covers. If you have to pee, book it back and forth, but you never go out at night.
I grew up near the Appalachians, and I very much was told as a child, if you're out in the woods at night and you hear something or you see something, no the fuck you didn't. You look at the ground and you go home. You don't look up. You don't acknowledge it. You don't talk about it. You go home. And I remember as a kid, like, I grew up in the boons. Like, the boons. And where I grew up was very much back in woods. Like, my driveway as a child was about 1 mile long to get to the house. And I remember as a kid, like, I would hear some of the craziest noises I've ever heard in my life at night. Because, I mean, if anyone doesn't know what a female fox sounds like.
Well, they're horrifying.
A vixen. Yeah. But what's even creepier to me is I've had one get very, very close to our house and, like, call. And there was no, and I don't know, like, I don't even know if it was a vixen. I hope it was a vixen. I like to tell myself it was a vixen. But yeah, very, very scary. Did I look? No fucking way. I rolled over and I went to sleep. I was like, nope, it's nothing's there. It's fine. It's just a fox. Whatever it is. I don't care. Yeah, no,
Like, I don't understand. Like, even if you don't believe in, like, a higher power or something, Like, there are things out there that truly cannot be explained.
Oh, agreed.
Like,
Agreed.
just don't try your luck. Don't test it. Just don't go outside at night. And like, I live right next to a forest and a golf course that was notorious for having dead bodies in it.
Girl.
Tiny story. When we were younger, we used to go sneak into the golf course at night. We used to go sneak into the golf course at night, and it was Halloween, so we were playing like manhunt in the golf course. First and foremost, why the fuck my tiny ass thought it was great to play manhunt in the golf course? Fuck as I know. And we snuck back in there, and I remember one kid went missing, and we couldn't find him. Like, we couldn't find him. And we all grew up here. We know the ins and outs, how to get out of the golf course, get into the park, and then get back home. He was missing for 2 weeks. 2 whole ass weeks that kid was missing. Like, as like we were used to joke, oh, Slender Man took him. He came back.
Oh my god.
Emaciated. And he looked absolutely crazy. I can tell you, I don't know where Gerald is today.
Hope Gerald's doing all right. I hope he's wherever you are, Gerald. I hope you're doing great, buddy.
Something. He got lost, according to like his brother. They are like, oh, Gerald got lost in the golf course. He left the golf course and went back into the park. But apparently he managed to walk almost 3 counties over before they found him. But he had like no shoes on, and there was nothing wrong with his feet. But it's like, we all grew up here. We all know the way home.
You get abducted?
We have no idea.
Yeah.
But Gerald did not look okay, my guy. I saw him like once, and I was like, ooh, yeah, no, fuck that kid.
We're staying away from that kid.
Oh, no, I'm good. I can't do that.
He's probably been spoons with his minds now.
I was just like, he was emaciated. He looked like scary. Like, you know how like they were like, oh. Like, you remember that movie where like the mom was like, her son went missing, and then she like, they found him again, and she's like, that's not my son. He had like really like, his eyes were like bulged out and like they looked hollow. That's how Gerald looked. That shit was horrifying.
Have you ever watched what is it called? Oh fuck, I gotta go look it up. It's an alien found film documentary, like mockumentary, and I think it's called The Fourth Kind.
Yeah, I have.
Girl, that movie scares the shit out of me. That movie scares me so bad. Oh, that movie scares. Oh, it's on Netflix.
Oh, I have Netflix. I can rewatch that shit.
Scary.
But it's like, why test fate? You have a million little blessings and shit.
Why test it?
Why test it?
Exactly. Yeah. Why? You know what? Whatever is out there singing and dancing,
hooting and hollering and shit.
Babes, you fucking Kiki the Boots house down out there, okay? I'm gonna put
Thanks for the song.
Earphones. Yeah, I'm gonna put some earphones in my head, and I'm gonna enjoy my little blessings. Good night. God bless.
Yo,
Yeah.
Holland pouring it out for Holland, man.
Dude, yeah. No, Holden's an idiot. No offense. Also, Echomus, thank you so much for the follow. I know I probably should have said it earlier. I apologize.
I'm gonna try to type it out for the follows. I'm so sorry. Also, hi again, Issei.
No, you're fine. There was one I was like, oh, okay, here's the one I wanted to read. Has your husband been standing still?
Oh my god, I saw that. Good luck.
Has your husband been standing still? This I feel is really funny. Ash, if you do anything that comes out of this Reddit story to try and scare me, your ass is grass, buddy. Alright? Has your husband been standing still? The woman at the door said her husband was inside my home. She was agitated and ran her fingers through her unwashed hair. You have the wrong address. It's just me, I said, then lied. And my boyfriend is here. No, please, just listen to me, she said, placing hand... Okay, alright, somebody ban Ash. Anyway, No, please, just listen to me, she said, placing a hand on the door frame and leaning in towards me. I said I couldn't help her. Said again she had the wrong address, then shut the door. But I could still hear her. I don't know what he'll do. Let me in. Let me find him, she said, her muffled voice sharpening with her palm drummed on the door. He stands still. I froze in the entryway and waited full minutes after it sounded like she had left. In case her ear was pressed to the door, I didn't give much thought to her husband. At first. There was just something off about her. How she tried to talk so calmly even though it was obvious she was coiled tight enough to snap. Kept floating on her toes, looking into my apartment behind me. But she also didn't seem outcast or even neglected, really. Her cashmere sweater and tapered pants told a different story. So I searched my apartment with the crowbar I kept under the sheets in the linen closet. Okay, who keeps a crowbar in the linen closet? I'm sorry, huh? No one was in the front rooms, with their windows facing the streets. I had been there all day, so it was impossible for anyone to have broken in that way. Then I remembered the old dumbwaiter shaft. It was behind the kitchen door, shut behind a hinged metal slab. To keep noise from bleeding between apartments, it was no longer an empty shaft, but a dusty compartment used as a pass-through for cables. I brought along my biggest chef knife from the drawer across from the refrigerator. The steel panel was painted the same color as the wall and had no handle or latch. Instead, there was a small, jagged hole punched in one side with several drill bit plunges. I dug a screwdriver out of the junk drawer and tried to pry it open with a single jerk. I stepped back and held the blade in my other hand. Instead, it swung open with a painfully slow creak, and I dropped the knife, scaring myself even more when it clattered at my feet. Without thinking, I bent down to pick it up. Kneeling on the floor, I imagined a pale hand reaching out and into my hair and skull, but when I stood up and looked inside, there was nothing there, just dark. It was empty. Wait a minute, hold on. This is, like, written so weird. Hold on. Okay, hold on. When I left the kitchen and crossed by the front door again, I saw that woman had shoved a piece of paper in my door like a takeout menu. It was a torn envelope, like something crumbled from the trash, and it had written on it the words, "Listen, please." Then I heard her whisper from low down on the door, even below where I had kneeled to pull at the scrap of paper. The first time my husband was around the corner from our French doors in the hollow where my desk meets the printer cabinet. He must have been there all morning. He was standing straight up like a sunflower. But I didn't see him until I got up from the desk and bumped my ankle. When I looked up, suddenly he was there, staring at nothing. The second time, he was behind an all-glass display case in our entryway, hinged between a pane and the wall, just like inside the front door. The whispering stopped and I realized I was barely breathing. I was still kneeling and my knees were beginning to get sore. "Are you still there?" the whisper voice asked. I didn't answer. "He's gotten really skinny and goes through tubes of a high SPF sunscreen whenever he's called out to a site, so now he's as white as an electric socket. He can suppress his presence and he can suppress his presence and take away your intuitive sense that another person is nearby. He's practicing. He's getting better. He knows where your eyes land and the spaces they slide over." "Go away," I screamed before retreating to the farthest corner of my apartment away from the front door. It took me a while to calm down with some TV and all the lights on. I didn't pay attention to the show, but told myself the woman at the door had a mental illness and a persecution complex, and she wanted to pull me into her delusion. I crept to the window and peered into the park across the street from my house. It was a small and mostly mowed, with a picnic pavilion and a swing set. But right across from me was a shock of forest, rising up and curling and unwanted. The sun was still up, but low enough for this thicket to be dark in its own shadows. I looked for her there, expecting I don't know what, 2 red eyes. I didn't see her, and opened the blinds fully. A few families were playing volleyball down at the furthest end of the park, but it was otherwise empty. Then I caught the blue light off an e-cig. It was her, seated in a shadowed beach chair with her legs stacked casually in front of her. I could barely see her face, but it looked as if she was staring into my windows. I debated whether to go out to confront her, but when I turned around, I saw her husband. I didn't scream. My throat snapped shut on my breath. Through the kitchen doorway across the room, I could see my dishwasher and him standing next to it, one leg against the fridge. He was standing straight, but bent forward at a right angle, his back aligned with the marble countertop. One arm was held pinned against his thigh, the other down, then the wrist up, with the fingers out at an odd angle. His face pointed forward, aligned atop his body like a bullet on a shell casing, with his eyes aimed to one side of me and far away. He wore an expression of rapture on a pale face. His lips were glistening red. He didn't move or react, and showed no signs of being detected. But I still expected those eyes to swivel and land on me. Didn't feel I could move or look away until it did. I forced myself to clap, then to wave my arms, but then there was no reaction. "You," I said. "Sir," I added, "you need to leave." He didn't react. And it wasn't just as if he was ignoring me. There wasn't a tremble, or a tremor, or a breath. He stayed so still, as if it was the whole world had frozen. I called 911, of course. The operator urged me to get out of the house as quickly as possible. I stayed on the line with the operator, but there was nothing left to say. My only way out was past him. Acid filled my stomach. There was no way I could cross the room. I considered tossing something at him, or even attacking him, but there was nothing more dangerous than a TV remote nearby. The operator said something about officers on the way, and my phone slipped from my hand in my rush to bring it back to my ear. My eyes never dropped from the husband, who didn't flinch when my phone crunched on impact, then clattered across the floor and under the couch. I lowered myself to my hands and knees and considered crawling over and reaching under until I realized it would put him out of sight. It was better to just escape. Maybe I could crawl by him without touching him and he'll stay frozen. Or would he just grab me when I got close? I didn't have a choice. At the threshold between hardwoods and tile, I looked down at my hands on the floor, and when I looked up, he was gone. But it was only for an instant, because suddenly I could see him again just in front of me. He hadn't moved. My eyes had let him go and struggled to find him again, like he wasn't where I expected, or if I had somehow forgotten him. The arms holding me up shook so violently that I pitched forward. Landing on the side with my face with a smack. I landed right at his feet, but didn't touch him. Pushing back on the heels of my hands, I rolled backwards and slammed into the cabinet behind me, hard enough that I heard the fiberboard crack inside the door. I could crawl by him now, but first watched him for any sign of movement. He was in a khaki t-shirt that didn't quite match the wood cabinetry or stand out from the white refrigerator at his back. Nor were his dark pants much of a match for the brushed chrome of the dishwasher, though I could see he had a silver of something shimmery silver, like a lanyard loop hanging out from his pocket. I don't know how he could have disappeared from my sight, but he didn't seem to notice me. I strained to keep an eye on him over my shoulders as I crawled past, until I couldn't move slowly any longer. I scrambled to my feet, tumbling into a standing position, then into a headlong run where I could tell my heartbeats from the pounding of my feet on the floor. After struggling with the lock, I finally squeezed through my front door and shut it behind me without looking back. The police came, searched my apartment, and found no one. I tried to explain that he might still be there, that they just hadn't seen him, but they wouldn't come back in with me. They wouldn't search the park either. They were annoyed I wouldn't go back inside, but eventually left. I didn't have my phone and didn't know where to go, so I wandered out of my building in a daze. It was dark out now, but the night air felt good. I saw a car double parked, but didn't pay it any attention until the woman pushed open the passenger side door from the driver's seat and waved me over. I'd be embarrassed to describe the horrible things I said to her, but she was calm and composed. She knew how to handle her husband standing still, and was nothing like the woman who first confronted me on my doorstep. I don't want to give her her real name, so I'll just call her Flora. "I'll teach you to see him," was the first thing Flora told me, once I was able to listen. I didn't want to see him or to go anywhere with this person, but I didn't know what else to do. She drove me far outside of the city until I could see stars over a sprawling suburbia, somewhere near the highway, where duplex condos faded into industrial parks. She turned into a multi-acre construction site. It was all blonde dirt, scraped and marked by bulldozer treads. At the center was a cinder block frame that might one day grow into a big box store. She turned off her headlights, and suddenly the feeling I had ignored, in favor of her serene understanding of my situation, could no longer be ignored. I was struck dumb with fear, my sore muscles protesting at being called back to alert. Had I met a couple working together? But she kept talking reasonably, kept her instructions simple, and I found no moment to protest. Instead, I followed her, even let her take me by the hand and pull me in a circuitous path out into the center of the standing blocks. She laid out a picnic blanket and urged me to lay on my back next to her with a friendly pat. Instead, I was screaming. We're in the middle of one of the dimmer meteor showers that doesn't get headlines, she said, but we can see one every few minutes if we know how to look. Men who stand still, she told me, can't be searched out like a bird among branches or a face in the crowd. That is a search for specificity. Wow, specificity. Even you could live in a state of constant scrutiny, where every pixel of reality examined. You would not often find these unmoving men. They slip into our scotoma and escape your attention, because they are no longer objects to be found. There was one, she said, pointing at a part of the sky. Did you see that one? I hadn't. Because you were darting around, looking for shooting stars, she said, instead of looking at the surface of reality. Her husband had receded into the sky of our day-to-day existence, she said. When standing still, he wasn't an object to be found in space. It had shut down every part of himself to become permanent. She taught me to make my eyes flat and to search without an idea of what I wanted to see. To see them, you could no longer want to see from the sky, she said. You have to deaden yourself to know what surrounds you. I laughed when I saw the first shooting star and forgot about my terrible day. Then there was another and another. Now please don't be afraid, she said, sitting up and placing her hand on my goose-templed forearm. I looked around with my meteor eyes. There were men standing in strange shapes, pressed against the cinder blocks and standing in the mud at bent angles, and even across the street holding themselves straight. I see them everywhere now, she whispers. There are so many of them standing still. Oh, what the fuck? What the? You know what this reminds me of? Did you ever read that manga about the holes?
Yeah.
That like started showing up in the city, and people were like obsessed with the holes and like trying to find the hole that matches their like body and shape.
It's like,
this is what reminds me of that.
I'm suffering. I would like you to suffer with me.
Yeah, literally. Like I don't want to see this alone anymore. I want you to also see it. Man, that one was weak. That one was weak.
Oh, it's like a crazy word. We have, that's also not on the list. A coworker I barely know left a resignation letter on my desk this morning, and it is addressed to me.
I'm ready.
I'm not.
Oh, okay.
That's scary. I work in a mid-sized insurance company on the 3rd floor of an office building that was built in the late 70s. I have been at this job for nearly 5 months. I sit in a corner desk near the emergency exit. It's not a good desk. The overhead light flickers. The heating vents around me makes a ticking sound that facilities has looked at twice and is called normal. But the rent in this city is what it is, and the job pays decently, so I show up and sit at my desk, and I do my work. This morning, I arrived at 8:15, like I always do. Spotify. 1 second.
8:15.
8:15. This morning, I arrived at 8:15 like I always do. There was a sealed envelope on my keyboard, white, standard lettered size. My first and last name written on the front in blue ballpoint pen. No department, no company header, just my name. I opened it. Inside was a single typed page. I'm going to reproduce it here as closely as I can because I've read it enough times now to know most of it from memory, and the letter is sitting in my lap as I tap this. Look. This is not a formal resignation letter, even though I am resigning today. This letter is for you. I'm sorry I did not write this sooner. I've worked in this building for 4 years. In that time, I have watched 3 people sit at the desk that you're sitting at now. I am in different departments on a different floor, but I pass your corner every day on my way back to the stairwell. I have learned to watch that desk the way you watch a trap that you cannot disarm. The first person lasted 8 months. The second lasted 5. The third lasted 11 weeks. By the time you're reading this, I will be gone. My desk cleared last night after everybody left. I cannot be in this building anymore. I cannot walk past your corner one more time and say nothing. So, I am saying this now, and then I am leaving. The lights above your desk will flicker. They always do. You have already mentioned it to somebody. I know, because everyone who sits there mentions it within the first month or 2. You will start losing small pieces of time. Nothing dramatic. You will look at your computer clock and 20 minutes will pass and then you cannot account for it. You will assume that you're focused on work and lose track. You will not focus on work. You are gone. Not asleep, not distracted. Gone. The gap will feel like nothing because you will have no memory of it. It will just be 20 minutes later that it should have been, and you will just have blinked it and moved on. This has probably started already. Check your sent emails. Look at gaps from between your timestamps. You will find windows where you apparently did nothing for 15 to 20 minutes in the middle of a workday. No sent emails, no saved documents, no browser history. Nothing. You were at your desk. Your badge did not log you leaving the floor, but for those minutes, you were not there. Then the dreams start. I'm not going to describe them because the last person I tried to warn did not take me seriously until the dreams began, and then she could not stop talking about what she saw in them, and talking about them is what made it faster. Do not describe them to anybody. Not a friend, not a therapist, not online. The dreams are not for you. They are maps of you. When you talk about them, you are giving it a signal to follow. You keep them to yourself. I know it's difficult advice. When the dreams start, you will want very badly to tell somebody. The urge is not yours. The urge is a part of it. I do not know what it is. I spent 3 years trying to figure that out. The building was constructed in 1978. Before that, there was a smaller office building on the same lot. Before that, there was a house. I could not find records on the house. The county office said the records for that parcel were damaged in a basement flood in 1991. I do not believe that. I believe someone removed them. The desk you're sitting at is positioned in the corner of the building that corresponds to a specific room in the original house. I do not know what happened in that room. I only know that whatever happened left something in that spot, not in the building, in the ground, beneath the foundation, in the dirt under the concrete, under the carpet, under your chair. It is below you right now. It has always been below that desk. The building was built on top of it. I do not think the builders knew. I think it was already waiting when they poured the foundation. The 3 people before you all left the company. The first one quit and moved out of the state. I found her on social media. She does not remember working here. She does not remember that desk. She does not remember the dreams. She has a 2-year gap in her resume that she cannot explain, and she has posted about it publicly, and she seems confused by the way that does not look like someone who simply forgot a job. The second one was terminated for performance issues. He started falling asleep at his desk every day, multiple times. He could not stop. He told HR he was not sleeping at night. They suggested medical leave. He refused. He said he was afraid to sleep at home because the dreams followed him there, and he felt safer sleeping at the desk. He said that loud to our manager. They let him go the next week. I saw him in the parking lot on his last day. He was sitting in his car staring at the building. He sat there for 4 hours. I watched from the window. He didn't start his engine. He just sat there and stared. Then he drove away, and I never saw him again. The third person is still in the building. You know her. She works on the 4th floor. She has dark circles under her eyes and that never go away. She's worked here for 2 years now since transferring from your desk. She asked to be moved. She didn't explain why. They gave her a different desk on a different floor. The dream stopped when she moved, but she does not sleep fully anymore. Not ever. She told me once in the stairwell that she figured something out about the dreams. She said if you keep one eye open, you do not go all the way under. You stay on the surface. It cannot reach you on the surface. Only in the deep. She has not closed both of her eyes at the same time in 2 years. She sleeps with one eye open every single night. She is exhausted permanently, but she's still herself. That is more than I could say for the last 2. I'm not brave enough to stay. I'm not brave enough to sleep with one eye open for the rest of my career, and I am not brave enough to write, and I was barely brave enough to write this letter. If you want to talk to someone who understands what is happening to you, find the woman on the 4th floor. You will know which one she is. She looks like she has not slept since the day she was born. She will not want to talk, but she will. She has been waiting for someone else to sit at that desk, so she is not alone in what she knows. I'm sorry. I should have said something on your first day. I was afraid to say it loud and make it notice me. I am on a different floor, different corner. It has never reached me. I want to keep it that way. This is the truth of why I wait. I was protecting myself, and I'm not proud of it. Please do not try to find me after today. There is no signature. I read this letter 3 times on my desk. Then I did the first thing it told me to do. I checked my sent emails. I went back through 5 months of timestamps. There are gaps. 14 of them. Windows of 10 to 15 minute times where my sent folders are empty. My browser history is blank, and my badge shows no movement. I was at my desk. I was logged in, but I wasn't doing anything that left a trace. I did not notice any of it till today. I went to HR at 9 a.m. I asked about the person who left the letter. They confirmed the coworker resigned effective immediately. No notice, no reason provided. Desk already cleared, badge returned, and gone. I asked about the previous people who sat at my desk. HR said that they couldn't share personal details. I asked if the desk had a high turnover. The woman behind the counter paused and said, "Some desks don't work for every person," and then looked away. I went to the 4th floor during lunch. I walked the entire floor slowly. I found her in a cubicle near the far wall. I knew it was her before I saw her, before the woman sitting next to her was leaning away slightly. Not consciously, just a few inches away. The way your body moves away from something without telling your brain why. She looked exactly like the letter described. Dark circles under her eyes that looked structural. Not like someone who missed sleep last night, like someone who's been running on a half sleep for years, and it started settling into her bones. Her left eye was slightly more open than her right. Not dramatically, just enough that if you were looking for it, you would have seen it. I sat down across from her. I sit at that desk on the 3rd floor, the one on the corner by the emergency exit. She didn't look surprised. She closed the folder she was holding and looked at me for a long time and said, "How long?" 5 months, I said. "Has the dream started?" "No," I said. "They will, probably within the next week. How often do you lose time?" I told her 14 gaps. She nodded like I was telling her the weather. "When the dreams start, do not describe them to anybody. Not out loud, not in writing, not even in your own head if you can help it. The more shape you give it, the more real they become, and it's easier if you hold them there." I asked her what it was. She said, "I don't know. I know it's under the building. I know it's under the corner specifically. I know it reaches you through your desk, through the chair, to the floor. I know it wants you to sleep. I know the dreams are not dreams. They are a place. And I know you go too deep into that place, you cannot come back the same." I asked her about the one-eyed trick. She smiled. Well, not quite. More like a memory of knowing how to smile. "It works. I don't know why, but I sleep with one eye cracked open. I stayed in the shallow part. I feel it pulling back, but it cannot fully grip me. It needs both eyes closed, full darkness, full surrender. If any part of you is still watching, it cannot take you under. I asked her if she's okay. She looked at me with one eye slightly wider than the other and said, I have not been okay in 2 years, but I am still me, and that is enough. I am back at my desk now. It is 4 p.m. The lights above me flicker 6 times since I sat down. I counted. I have been counting everything since the morning. Minutes, flickers, gaps. I do not know if I believe any of this. Part of me thinks the letter is from someone who has a mental health issue, who is fixated on the corner office, and built a mythology around the coincidence. Part of me thinks 14 gaps in my work history over 5 months is a lot of blank space for someone who doesn't remember blanking. The woman on the 4th floor is real. Her exhaustion is real. Her advice was specific and practical in a way that does not sound like someone performing a delusion. She sounded like someone giving survival instructions because she's been surviving. I am posting this because I want someone outside of this building to know what the letter said. I want a record somewhere that isn't inside these walls. The lights flicker again. I am watching it. I am watching everything now.
Backrooms. What anyone feels in a corporate job, honestly.
I don't know, man. Gotta get the fuck out.
Nah, the woman with the slightly open eye is crazy. There was one I really wanted to read. I don't remember which one it was.
If Spotify pauses one more time, I'm about to become one of these monsters.
Oh. The Smiling Man.
Oh. Oh no.
Alright.
Avoiding that one for a reason.
About 5 years ago, I lived downtown in a major city in the U.S. I've always been a night person, so I could often find myself bored after my roommate, who was decidedly not a night person, went to sleep. To pass the time, I used to go for long walks and spend the time thinking. I spent 4 years like that, walking alone at night, and never once had I had a reason to feel afraid. Now, I always used to joke with my roommate that even the drug dealers in the city were polite, but all of that changed in just a few minutes of one evening. It was a Wednesday, like today. Somewhere between 1 and 2 in the morning, I was walking near a police-patrolled park quite a ways from my apartment. It was a quiet night, even for a weeknight, with very little traffic and almost no one on foot. The park, as it was most nights, was completely empty. I turned down a short side street in order to loop back to my apartment when I first noticed him. At the far end of the street, on my side, was the silhouette of a man, dancing. It was a strange dance, kind of similar to the waltz, but he finished each box with an odd forward stride. I guess you could say he was dance walking, headed straight for me. Deciding he was probably drunk, I stepped as close as I could to the road to give him the majority of the sidewalk to pass by me. The closer he got, the more I realized how gracefully he was moving. He was very tall and lanky and wearing an old suit. He danced closer still until I could make out his face. His eyes were wide open and wild, head tilted back slightly, looking off at the sky. His mouth was formed in a painfully wide cartoon of a smile. Between the eyes and the smile, I decided to cross the street before he danced any closer. I took my eyes off of him to cross the empty street. As I reached the other side, I glanced back and then stopped dead in my tracks. He had stopped dancing and was standing with one foot in the street, perfectly parallel to me. He was facing me, but still looking skyward, smile still wide on his lips. I was completely and utterly unnerved by this. I started walking again, but kept my eyes on the man. He didn't move. Once I had put about a half a block between us, I turned away from him for a moment to watch the sidewalk in front of me. The street and sidewalk ahead of me was completely empty. Still unnerved, I looked back to see where he had been standing to find him gone. For the briefest of moments, I felt relieved until I noticed him. He had crossed the street, and now was slightly crouched down. I couldn't tell for sure due to the distance and the shadows, but I was certain he was facing me. I had looked away from him for no more than 10 seconds, so it was clear that he had moved fast. I was so shocked that I stood there for some time, staring at him. And then he started moving toward me. He took giant, exaggerated tiptoed steps, as if he were a cartoon character sneaking up on someone, except he was moving very, very quickly. I'd like to say at this point I ran away or pulled out my pepper spray, or my cell phone, or anything at all, but I didn't. I just stood there, completely frozen, as the smiling man crept toward me. Then he stopped again, about a car length away from me, still smiling his smile, still looking to the sky. When I finally found my voice, I blurted out the first thing that came to mind. What I meant to ask was, "What the fuck do you want?" in an angry, commanding tone. What came out was the whimper, "What the fuck?" Regardless of whether or not humans can smell fear, they can certainly hear it. I heard it in my own voice, and that only made me more afraid. But he didn't react at all to it. He just stood there, smiling. And then, after what felt like forever, he turned around, very slowly, and started dance walking away. Just like that. Not wanting to turn my back to him again, I just watched him go until he's far enough away to almost be out of sight. And then I realized something. He wasn't moving away anymore, nor was he dancing. I watched in horror as the distant shape of him growing larger and larger. He was coming back my way, and this time he was running. I ran too. I ran until I was off the side road and back onto a better lit road with sparse traffic. Looking behind me then, he was nowhere to be found. The rest of the way home, I kept glancing over my shoulder, always expecting to see his stupid smile, but he was never there. I lived in that city for 6 months after that night, and I never went out for another walk. There was something about his face that always haunted me. He didn't look drunk, he didn't look high. He looked completely and utterly insane. And that's a very, very scary thing to see. That's it.
That's why you don't go outside at night, bro. That's why you don't go outside dead at night.
No. I listen to enough true crime, and I listen to enough, like, scary stuff that no. Sun starts going down, I'm inside. Doors are locked. I'm securely fastened inside.
Not fastened. No. Jesus.
Nope. Nope. I can't. I cannot. No. So. And I think that's it. I think we got through all of them.
I do indeed think we did.
Yeah.
That was horrifying.
Dude, I think the scariest one that freaked me out the most was the one whistling at 3:03.
Yeah.
that one freaked me out the most.
That one was uncomfortable to read too.
Yeah, like that one gave me the heebie-jeebies.
I hope that got real deep in your earlobes to help you get that premium scare. I have one for you for next time called I moderate live streams from time to time. The one that made me quit had no viewers but an active chat.
Oh. Do you want to read it now?
She's like, hey, wait, don't leave. We gotta read it now.
Yeah, you gotta read that now.
Okay, I will read this one now. It's very short. All right. Oh my goodness. Artie! Thank you for the 32 months. Holy fuck, 32 months. No, Jesus. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I am a moderator of a well-known streaming platform. I tend to take the jobs that pay the most, and I've gotten used to seeing some pretty fucked up stuff that I had to keep under control. Most of the time, there are just people flashing the cameras or doing some... Hold on, I gotta phrase this TLS safely. Or doing some interesting things. Think of the worst possible things, Pip. That's what...
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so on. I've deleted harmful things from the chats and make sure that the stuff isn't escalating. Okay, homie. make sure things
Okay.
aren't escalating. You know, the drill. However, I had some gigs in the past that made me want to quit moderating. I'll probably tell you all about that, but for now, I'll focus on this one, since it just was weirdly personal. I had almost decided to quit due to the previous incident. I didn't feel like getting into one right now, but I figured that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and it doesn't hurt to do one more job just like that. And so I did. The listing said as such, pre-broadcast moderation for internal live stream content. No audience interaction required. The last part really matters. No viewers. That meant I wouldn't have to deal with any trolls or litigious people. I was just going to monitor the stream that wasn't public yet. It was part of a delayed broadcast. My job was to watch the live feed and flag or remove anything that would violate guidelines before it reached the audience. Basically, I was cleaning it in real time so when it aired later, it would be already safe. Number 1, do not pause, rewind, or refresh the stream. These were the rules and they were specific. Number 2, do not take screenshots or recordings of the screen. Number 3, do not open the chat history tab. And number 4, remove any messages that appear to reference future events. That last one stood out. When I asked about it, the guy running the onboarding just said that sometimes test data gets injected into the chat and has to be removed. And just has to be removed anything that could be perceived as harmful. I thought what he meant was spoilers, just like if streams were scripted or something. I figured it might be one of those fake haunted houses or magic trick live streams, so I didn't really give it a second thought. I was wrong. The stream was boring. Just a fixed camera pointed at a room. Looked like an apartment, living room, couch, coffee table, a door in the back, one lamp on. No movement and no sound except a faint hum, which I assumed was a fan. The chat panel was empty. I sat there for maybe 20 minutes before anything happened. A message popped up. Door opens soon. I hover over it. It didn't look like a normal user message, and it had no username, just gray text. I assumed this was the test data they mentioned, so I removed it. And then 10 seconds later, door in the live stream opened, and then closed again. That reminded me of some scene in I found in a found footage movie, where the bad filmmakers are just trying to scare us. The empty room was making me uncomfortable as shit, though. I've seen a lot of obscure videos on the internet that start with an empty, grainy room. Messages would appear and I would remove them. And then something in the stream happened shortly after. Lamp turns off. Delete. Lamp went out. Something moved behind the couch. Delete. A shuffle behind the couch. At the 1 hour mark, I got distracted and didn't delete a message right away. I'm sorry, but you're staring at an empty room for hours. You tend to go insane. Door opens. I let it sit for a second and nothing went on. About a half a minute later, the door opens. I stopped deleting messages immediately and started timing them. Every single one happened, but always after a delay. I opened a notepad and wrote a few down. The timing wasn't perfectly consistent, but it was hovering around the same range, which was 20 seconds. It kind of dawned upon me that the chat wasn't reacting to a scripted stream. It was actually ahead of it. It was supposed to be a pre-recorded broadcast, so where the fuck were these messages coming from? And how the fuck were they predicting what was going to happen? I wanted to get mad, but I didn't have anything to get mad at. The instructions had been clear. Nothing weird actually happened. They did tell me that the chat gets predictive. There wasn't anything to catch in the listing. I thought it was just freaky, and I wanted to take a picture, so I opened the chat history for 2 seconds just to do so. Yeah, I know. One of the rules. When I opened it, I expected logs, which is a long list of messages, all of them describing events. I scrolled. Most were just about a room, which was stupid, since there wasn't really anything in the room to begin with. Moderator closes chat history. I froze. I've done something I shouldn't have yet. Should I? Moderator feels unhappy. They close chat history. I closed it immediately, then went back to the main room and kept watching. Hands kind of shaking at this point, but I told myself there was a technical explanation. preloaded logs or a simulation or something. I didn't rule it out as a prank because my webcam was covered, so my reaction is hidden. A new message appeared in the chat. Moderator checks behind him. I stared at it. Don't move, don't delete it. Nothing happened in the stream. The room stayed empty. 10 seconds passed, 20, 30, another. Then another message appeared. Too late. I turned so fast I almost broke my neck. Nothing was there, of course. Jesus Christ. This is the worst part, right? There's nothing there. I laughed. Actually laughed. Closed the chat and went back to the stream. The door was open now, and beyond it, there was a hallway. It hadn't seen a hallway before. I hadn't seen a hallway before. It looks at the moderator too. It leaves the room. Slowly, something passes the doorway. Nothing else happened in the stream. No more messages appeared. Everything went still again. And at the exactly 4 hour mark, the system logged me out automatically. I stood up, turned on all the lights, then walked around the house for a bit, shaking off the stiffness that was caused, obviously, by sitting down for so long. And not by anything else. Next night, I checked the notepad file where I had written things down. There's a line at the bottom that wasn't mine and read, "Moderator rereads notes," and under it, turns around again. I turned around to see my window wide open. Yeah, I don't fuck with moderating anymore.
What the? Okay, I need this as a game. I need this as an indie horror game.
Oh no.
That's what I need. It's like Five Nights at Freddy's, but like Gen Z mode, you know? Like,
yeah.
I need this as a game.
That was pretty good though. Yeah, I'd play the shit out of this.
If it was a game. I would play the shit out of that if it was a game.
It's kind of scary.
Alright, game developers in chat, get on it. Make millions. Start your new game.
I hope the community
That's
liked
creepy.
this.
Yeah. We'll have more Reddit readings too, because our next one is Am I the Asshole? Which I feel like will be really funny, because I guess we could all like decide as a group whether or not they are an asshole or not.
True.
You know?
Got
yeah,
no
I
updates and stuff.
It was very fun. It was a very fun stream. Yeah.
I like listening to y'all read. See, we can read. See, we can read.
We can read. We can read.
We can do it.
Oh, we can. Are you going to stream after this?
Honestly, I don't know.
After? Yeah, same. I kind of want to play some Tomodachi Life, but I also need to go make some phone calls and stuff like that.
Oh my god, she's gonna become one with the Reddit horror stories, bro.
Dude, it's so good. It's so good. So good.
I'm surprised you don't like do recordings of them and like post them to YouTube as your like shorts and shit.
Me?
Yeah, you.
No, dude. No.
I can't read.
I can't fucking, I have to read first. I have to comprehensively read. I don't feel like I need to like, I don't feel engaging as a reader. Does that make sense?
I can tell you I am engaged.
Ooh, why are you engaged?
Oh my god. Oh my goodness.
I want to animate y'all reading the first one, including all the character breaks. Yeah.
You mean me not being able to fucking read?
Maningi. It's so good. Well, thank you for coming to the first Reddit reading.
Thank you. It was good read.
Yeah, good reads. I can't wait to judge people and their situations.
Oh my god.
So.
Goodbye, Pip. Chat, be nice to her.
Yeah. No, you guys be nice to Lunessa. Where can everybody find you before you go?
In my house.
Okay. Okay. You guys can check her on twitch.tv/xxboopsxx, baby.
Oh my god, my Xbox name. Find Pip at heypiss.com.
Yo, don't, yeah. Dude, everybody's been like saying Hey, use code HeyPiz for 10% off your purchase at
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
it's
That's
so
my
funny.
fault.
It had me laugh. Yeah, you can find Nessa waving on the moon. Yeah, guys, tonight when you go outside at 3:03 a.m. you hear the whistling, make sure you look at the moon and wave at Nessa.
Don't do that. That's probably the most dangerous thing you could do.
Oh my gosh.
I gotta send Pip a picture of a video of the forest right outside of my house in the middle of the night.
No, I feel like you shouldn't. No, I'm good. I'm so good.
Just like I'm good.
I'm so good. No, I'm good.
Goodbye. Goodbye, wife.
Have a great night. Goodbye, wife. See you later. Goodbye.
Okay. All right, Chatteroony. Spooky. Okay. So. Now. Let's see. I'm trying to decide what I want to do. So we're gonna decide what I want to do, and then we'll go forward from there. She's gone. Yeah, sorry guys, she's gone. No more Pip. No more HeyPiz. No more HeyPiz. White people taco. What the fuck does that mean? What does white people taco night mean? Oh my god. It's probably not the greatest one. Did you guys like the did you guys like the danger spooky readings? Did you like those? Is that something you guys are interested in besides ASMR? You guys want me to read more spooky reading shit? Maybe, perchance, per if quiff. Okay. My chat just died. Fuck. I love how my chat just like shits bricks and like falls EPs, Hongshu memes. Nuh-uh. Oh my god. Oh my god. They're sitting. So you guys don't like the spooky stories? I was gone for most of the spooky readings. How to do adult stuff. Freak. Oh my god.